passionate time talking about tractors that's fun and interesting?
Well, you've come to the right place. I'm Kendall.
And I'm Carissa.
And you're watching
Tractor Talk with Gary.
And how about a weather report for today? Here in Northeast Iowa, presently 19 degrees, slight breeze out of the northwest. We're heading for a high of 33 today. It's going to get a little breezy to be doing this outside, so we'll be moving the tractors inside to talk about them. Primarily today I'm going to be talking about the two old 520s. These I inherited when my dad passed away. That was my number one reason for having them. But after having them, being with them most of my life, I'm not willing to part with them. And we'll go over the reasons for that. Hi YouTube. Gary with Tractor Talk with Gary. That is to a lot of two-cylinder fanatics or older farmers that have dealt with this equipment. That is music to the ears to hear the old two-cylinders pounding away. Very reliable old tractors, and today we're going to talk about the history of these on the farm and why my number three reasons for having these. Both of these 520s are 1958 models. It's the last year that they made them, so they're most recent of the 520 models. This one was bought in 1968. I was in 8th grade when we bought this right at Christmas time. We picked it up from Hub City Implement in Oline, which is now Bodensteiner's. Bodensteiner owns all of the John Deere dealerships in our area. They own a lot of them. And these have done all kinds of work on the farm, from field work, chores, pulling up tops of wood to cut up for firewood, hauling loads of wood, a lot of hauling manure. These cultivated corn, raked hay, hauled corn. They're a very handy chore tractor, and they're nice for maneuvering stuff around in the shed here with the narrow front. The narrow front has its advantages. You can You can swing your front end and get closer to stuff if you need to swing your front end around when backing something in. Some people don't like the hand clutch. I grew up on the hand clutch. I guess I prefer the hand clutch. I'm a little slow on the uptake to make my change into modern stuff, especially with technology. So YouTube has brought me into the 21st century in pretty good shape with having to deal with technology in terms that make no sense to me. But it's been a lot of fun. I've made a lot of friends on YouTube. There are three major reasons for having these older tractors. There's a lot of them that are being collected up. I think with this particular series, the numbered series, the 420s on up to the 820s, the 430s on up to the 830s, that generation is passing into history. That's collecting those. Now it's the 20 series in John Deere, 10s and 20s, 40 10s, 30 10s, 30 20s, 40 20s, 50 20s. One thing I would like to have, I always liked those, is a 60-30 John Deere. Thought they were incredible. But back to these. These have been on the farm, like I said. This one since 1968. The other one over there was 75, I believe. Dad picked that up at a farm sale at my Fayette about 7 miles from here for $850. The county supervisor at the time had that. And although they presented it at the farm sale that everything had been gone through on that tractor, boy, they missed a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. They put a lot of money into that tractor, bringing it up to my dad's standards. As you can see from looking at the equipment around here that I presented, my dad took really good care of his equipment. Back in the day, I guess my word for it was anal. Wow, he was fussy. But we still have it today. These are in their work clothes. The hoods and nose cones on these have been painted. That tractor was painted a number of years ago. This one we did 2 years ago. Now, got it spruced up a little bit, put the new lettering on it. Those are Jordy decals versus the John Deere decals. If you're into restoring tractors, you look at them at all, the John Deere decals are like Scotch tape. You will see the outline of the tape. On the Jordy decals, it's just the numbers. Everything else goes away when you install those. Now, I like the Jordy decals a whole lot better. They're just so much sharper, I think. But the number two reason for these is because there's not very many of these left around. My wife made the comment to me when we moved up to the farm in April of 2019. We moved back onto the farm after my dad passed in February. She said, I had promised her when I got my Kubota L2501, she said, when your dad passes, you need to sell some tractors. And of course I agreed to that so I could get the Kubota, and then, we're true to our word around here. So the only thing I ended up selling was my 1953 50 John Deere that I had. That had been a mainstay for me. Plowed snow and hauled hay, raked hay, did all kinds of stuff with that. And I hated to see it go. Very dependable tractor, but it was more an issue of shed space. We did not have enough room for everything. I sold my 1949 Case SC tricycle tractor that my grandpa bought in Wadena, brand new, back in 1949. Sold that. It was great in the woods for pulling stuff, but they were, I believe, one of the first tractors to come out with disc brakes. They weren't worth a flip. You might as well hold your hand up in the wind as a parachute to stop yourself. The brakes were no good at all. Hand clutch, and it had a weird steering mechanism where the arm came out front, and as you turned, I believe it was to the right, the arm extended out. And a friend of mine had a Case DC, and we were talking about it one time, and he goes, yeah, I had one of those fence grabbing pieces of beep one time. Like, yeah, you can't get very close to them because you can't depend on the brakes to spin you around. These will spin you right around. They have serrated this arm of the pedal here is serrated, and it's got just a simple flat lever that comes out and catches in those notches and really holds. And the brakes on these break right on the axle. They will spin this tractor right around. Which brings me to the point of why they don't make these tricycle tractors anymore. A lot of guys are killed on them. A loader on these is not a good combination. I still use this loader. I have another loader that came off of my 50. The guy did not want anything to do with that. That was a wreck when I bought the 50. We completely redid that loader. And I'm going to show Will from Faraway Farms here after a bit what we did to that. But these tricycle tractors are dangerous. The wide front end is so much more stable. Any tractor could kill you. A garden tractor could kill you. But these took their toll. And if you look up the statistics on people who are killed on tractors today, it's experienced operators. People have been operating tractors all their lives. It's not entirely newbies. I'm sure there's some of them too, but the overwhelming majority is people with experience. I don't know, going beyond their level or whatever. I had a guy I used to work for. We were pretty good friends. He lived about 5-6 miles away from here. He rented his farm out. He was getting up in years, and we had a really wet spring and washed out, and he went out with a 460 Farmall and a Westendorf loader. The Farmall had a narrow front end, and he went to plow the ditch shut, and he broke one of the hitches on the plow. So he dropped the plow where it was and went out to get it, and it was right before Obama was elected president, first time, right before the vote. Because we voted in Arlington, and I went in to vote, and the gal that was a rural mail carrier, I hadn't seen her in years. She said, we got talking, and she said, did you hear about Cal? And I said, no, what did he do this time? And she said, well, he was in a tractor accident. I go, ooh, how's he doing? And she goes, he didn't make it. First I'd heard of it. But what happened was he hitched chain onto the plow, onto his loader, and was lifting it up. The chain flipped to one side, slid to one side, flipped the tractor bottom side up. They pulled the tractor off of him, still remaining in the seat. One of my supervisors where I work knew him his whole life, and was an EMT, and he was one of the first ones on the scene. He said that was a tough one. That was really hard because he thought a lot of old Cal. So I said goodbye to a friend of mine there. I could go on for quite a while talking about tractor accidents that have happened in this area and how they could have been prevented. So safety is a big thing, and with these, just like any other tractor, but especially with these, safety is of a big concern. So the number 2 reason is people that want to collect these. Like me, they've been in the family, they've been on this farm for years and years and years. And as far as I'm concerned, they can stay here. I'm 65, and these will probably outlast me. So someone else will be dealing with them after I'm gone. You can still get parts for these, although they don't, you have to find them through junkyards and catalogs and other parts collectors and stuff. You can still get the parts for them. This is a number 45 mechanical loader. They weren't much, they were pipe, and as maybe you can see, this has had little braces welded onto it here and there. It's been broken up a bunch of times. My dad used this to lift logs and stuff way beyond what this thing was designed to lift. The one that I have that's sitting outside, and I'm going to show Will, all this is Schedule 80 pipe. This has all been cut out, redone, and this has all been reinforced. It's a lot heavier loader than this one. I hadn't used mine near as heavy as what my dad did. My dad did things with this tractor that I'm surprised he lived as long as he did. I just knew that I was going to come up here to the farm sometime, and he wasn't going to answer the phone. He wasn't going to come to the door, and I was going to go down in the woods and find him with the tractor on top of him. But nope, that wasn't the way he went. So welded a hook onto here, used for hook a log chain into, which makes it more versatile. I use this because I don't have a grapple, because I win the DA award. When I got my Kubota L2501, the dealer asked me, do you want the 3rd function attachment on the tractor? It wasn't going to cost me much money the way they had their program set up. And like a DA, and I'm sure you know what I mean by that, I was tight with my money and I said, nah, don't think I'll use it. I'll have this, I'll lift. What I do is I lift logs, limbs up, whatever, and then I alternate, cut from sides until I get to where I'm close to the edge of the bucket, then I drop it on something, put my foot on it, and finish cutting it. Didn't think I needed a grapple. Oh boy, was that ever a mistake. Now it's going to cost me pretty good money to put the third function on. I'm thinking about going with a grapple that has an electric actuator instead of using the hydraulics. You can run the hydraulics back to the auxiliaries. I can run hoses all the way back, and I can, I'll be using 2 levers, but something to think about anyway. And my number 3 reason to have these is because I've been a John Deere guy all my life. Are they better tractors than anything else? I'm going to go with personal preference. I would prefer the John Deeres, but that's just me. Guys like farmholes, and there's a lot of them left over. A lot of these old tractors, Tractorman 44 is in the Massey Harris. Those things run forever and ever and ever. His brother, which he always calls his much older brother, has an old farmhole. You see him doing stuff, running around with it. So yeah, they serve their purpose well. But those are my top 3 reasons why I have these, and there's quite a bit of history with these. So it's kind of nice to still have them here on the farm, and they're going to live out their days with me.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, you gotta stop laughing.
All right.
Okay, should we practice before?
All right, so should we just be
Should we
like,
just
don't,
be like,
don't
on the entertainment, subscribe. You don't want to miss all the fun and entertainment, so
subscribe now.
okay. Thanks for watching.